All aboard the Seaboard. Matt had got me to leave Empower because they kicked him out, and Eastern Gas had sacked us all. Of that there was no doubt. So off we went to Seaboard, where the boss's name was Kim. My buddies Matt and Geordie Steve made a lot of fun of him. Steve would knock on old ladies' doors. They'd say, "Please tell me, who is there?" "Howie, my love, it's Geordie Steve. What has happened to your hair?" Steve would wee up people's doors, and even crap in their back gardens. He would fart in people's hallways, and then he'd beg their pardon. His sales skills were most unique. Some people thought him rude. He'd ask to use their toilet, then come out and say he'd pooed. "I wouldn't go in there," he'd say, "'cause I've made it smell like shit." I don't know what you'd call it, but he called it Geordie Wit. The Seaboard bosses loved us guys, 'cause we got lots of sales. I worked every day with Geordie Steve, and now must tell the tales. So here they come, one by one, in the next pages of this book. The stories of a Geordie Steve and the liberties he took. Steve's flat. Steve lived in a tower block, in a council flat. "Howie," he'd say to his girlfriend Michelle, "you're a little green-toothed rat." Shauna and Danielle. One day we were out working when Steve began to yell, "Howie, you dirty bitches! Is that Shauna and Danielle?" "Howie, these birds are filthy, man. I've met them both before. I bet those fucking dirty bitches like a cock in their back door." So I got talking to Danielle, and Shauna talked to Steve. It could have worked out rather well, but Jane phoned and I had to leave. So we all took each other's numbers and arranged to meet again. Steve went back to Michelle the rat, and I went home to Jane. We don't need no water, let the motherfucker burn. It was a lovely sunny morning, so off to Steve's I went, in my Seaboard uniform, to work in South East Kent. But when I got to Steve's apartment, he wasn't even dressed. I think Michelle had pissed him off because he looked a little stressed. "Howie, I'm ironing my pants," said Steve. "Sit down and have a joint." "And why the Seaboard uniform? I mean, there's not really much point. I've spoken to Danielle and Shauna, and later on today we're going to be meeting them on the beach down at Pegwell Bay." Ah yes, Danielle and Shauna, that pair of dirty hoes. It was at this point that Steve then smelt some smoke go up his nose. "Howie, man, what is that? Is that burning I can smell?" "I don't know, Steve. I've just put out a joint, so I find it hard to tell." Steve went out onto the landing to sniff the burning out. He looked up and out a window and then began to shout, "Howie, man, look at that. The tower blocks are alight." I looked out to see some burning flames. Wow, I thought, it appears the Geordie's right. I had no plans to stick around, so I pegged it down the stairs. Steve went in and ironed his things as if he didn't care. In the meantime, I had joined the crowd around the tower block. Steve came out and asked the time. I said, "It's about 11 o'clock. "Howie, let's go and meet the sluts and get pissed down on the beach." "But, Steve, there's people burning in that flat who the fireman can't reach." "Why, never mind. There's a chopper in the air. I'm sure the firefighters will get those people out of there." So we left the burning Stanner court to the police and fire crew. We had to meet the sluts at 12, so that's what we went to do. We played and frolicked on the beach. Steve played with Shauna's muff, but then declared we must go back because he'd forgot his bit of puff. We got back to the tower block where earlier we had been. The police had now surrounded it and weren't letting people in. "We're not letting people in there today, nor for quite some time. We think the fire's arson, so it's now the scene of crime. Plus someone died up there today, and we've informed their next of kin." "Howie, I'm dead sorry about that, like, but I need my insulin. I'm a diabetic, and without it, I will worry. OK, this officer will take you up, but I must insist you hurry. Of course, when Steve got in his flat, the insulin weren't there, so instead he slyly grabbed his puff, then stopped to do his hair. He came back out with a smug grin, when a lady came to say, "Hi, if you're a victim of this incident, would you like to come this way? We're over in the community centre to help the residents of Stanner Court get food and drink and shelter as well as comfort and support." We went with the kindly lady, who come to talk to us. But to get Steve accommodation, we had to travel on their bus. It took us to the local place that deals with housing benefit, where they said Steve could have a hotel room if he really needed it. The lady said, "You can have a room for one. It's full board but with a single bed." "Howie, what do you mean for one? You must be off your head. My mate stood there, lives with me too, and he snores just like a bear. So sort us out 2 separate rooms, 'cause that's the only thing that's fair." "OK, my love, let me just find out if there's anything I can do." She then gave Geordie Steve a single room and said I could have one too. So even though I never lived there, I had a hotel room for free, with fried breakfast every morning and 3 courses for my tea. The next day, that same nice lady phoned Stephen on his phone to ask if he needed to go down the dole to get a crisis loan. So we both went down to the DSS so Steve could get some money. I even applied for help as well, because we thought it would be funny. They called Steve over with his completed forms, then handed him a gyro. I was still completing mine, with the ink from out my biro. And when my form was finished, and the man had checked it through, he said, "We've got a record of everyone else, but there is no sign of you. You don't seem to appear on our residency lists." "Please, sir," I said, "I do live there, but for some reason I've been missed." So the kind lady hurried over to see what the problem was. I told her, "They can't give me my gyro, and they say it is because I don't feature on their stupid list, and I can't prove that's where I live." The kind lady told the man it was my home and insisted that he give my gyro cheque to me straight away for me to go and cash at the post office, which would be closing soon, which meant me and Steve would have to dash. So reluctantly, the man at the dole handed the cheque to me. The lady took us to the post office, where Steve now thought he'd like to see the gyro I'd been given and how much that I had got. Then when he saw how much it was, he began to lose the plot. "Howie, how the fuck did I not get as much money as you? You don't even fucking live there," he shouted in the queue. The kind lady could not believe her ears. "Please tell me I did not hear that. You mean to say that your friend here does not live in the flat?" "Why, aye, miss. So now explain how I got £80.69 and this cunt got £100 when the flat is mine. He lives in Margate with his missus in the house they own, and you, my dear, just helped him get a dodgy crisis loan, which he's swapping at the counter, and now he's got the cash. He's only going to spend it on a great big lump of hash." The lady looked bamboozled, and perhaps a little sick, as reality had now revealed that I had took the mick. Me and Steve left the post office, in a fit of laughter of how I'd come to profit from the Stanner Court disaster.